Well, hey leaders, hey, Mike Temple back with you once again. And if you recall from our last video that we did together, I spoke about, look, we're moving into the last 90 days of this business year. And that's where we talked a little bit about building your accountability chart, your organizational chart, getting people in the right seats, making sure they're the right talent for that particular seat. So as we kind of continue, this is the last 90 days of this year at Temple Executive Coaching. We're getting ready to kind of kick into high gear. Towards these last 90 days are where we're going to be doing a heck of a lot of quarterly reviews with our current clients, getting them ready for the next year as we start building on our strategy. So let's kind of dive into this. This is the last 90 days of the year. By the way, before you even ask, the technology that I use, ladies and gentlemen, this right here that you're looking at is the latest thing out of Silicon Valley. It's called the whiteboard. Right. Look, instead of, downloading, an app to your phone, like, who does that anymore? This whiteboard, you upload it to the wall. You upload it to the wall. And so when I talked to the guy who sold it to me, and by the way, I got this at a steal for $1,200, okay? I said, look, is this uploading to the wall the same thing as the cloud? He said, sir, you got to be a natural at this. $1,000 right here. The graphics, pick this little ditty up here as well. It's called Roulage. I think it's probably French or something, but straightener thing. All right, and got trained on these little dillies right here as well. But look, you guys clicked on. I didn't make you. As we're moving into the last 90 days, we got to get grounded and we got to get our people focused. All right. So there are 2 points to this process. These 2 points have got to stay fixed. That is your current state. Where are you today? Be completely open and honest with yourself. All right. And then the desired state at the end of this 90 days, where do we want to be? So a couple of things you can look at. Now, some of the things that I'm going to be pointing out here to you, these aren't my selections. These come from actual meetings that we have with clients, and I let them make the decision as to what their focus is going to be. Last 90 days, where are you revenue-wise? Where's the culture? What's the state of the culture? We've been through a tough last several months, if not the last 3 years, but culturally, where are you? Your leadership team, do you have the right leadership team in place? And the market, what market are you in? Are you known in your market? Do you have a focus to your market? But get a current state of where you're at, desired state. At the end of this 90 days, where do we want to be revenue-wise? At the end of the 90, what type of culture do we want? If we're not happy with what we have right now, what type of culture do we want? Our leadership team. Is our leadership team, do we have the right people in the right seats? Are they reflective of the culture and market? If you're not sure what market you're in right now, you've got to have one fixed and focused on maybe a niche market, okay? So current state, desired state. These 2 points stay fixed, all right? So then what we do is list out on a piece of paper whatever technology you want to use. If you're looking at paper, Dunder Mifflin's having a hell of a sale right now, okay? But taking a look, writing down as many things as you want to as to what needs to be done by the end of this 90 days, all right? Then you kind of taper back and say, come heck or high water, narrow it down to no more than 4 specific items that have to be accomplished by the end of this year. So if you've got a list of 10 items, I've seen lists grow out to 17 items, and I force my team to narrow the focus to no more than 4 or 5 items. Because if everything is important, nothing is, all right? So we want to narrow our focus. What are the 4 items that we're going to be focused on? You list out your goals. You've probably heard of this process, SMART goal setting. So in other words, when it comes to the goal, specifically, what is it? Revenue, as an example, when I say revenue, what's the exact revenue number you want? All right. I've had some leaders say, well, if we were between 20 and 25 million, the minute you follow up a goal with the term somewhere or between. That's not specific. That's a range. We want to get it down to specific. So we want a specific goal. If you're going to be looking at a market, okay, but at the end of this 90-day period of time, you're not, you don't want to say, well, we would have researched new markets. No, you want one, maybe two markets, research done through the process, and at the end of the 90, you've got the specific market that you want. All right, so anyhow, specific. Is it measurable? Okay, you want to be able to measure the progress on this. Okay, tactical are not measurable items. Like I said, the example in the market, okay? I've had some really well thought out teams who were very sincere about what markets they wanted. Their measurable goal was, we're going to research what markets to go into. No, that's the tactical. We want the number, all right? We want to be able to measure the progress to the goal, okay? Is it attainable? Can we attain this goal? Are we being open and honest with ourselves? Is it realistic? Now, realistic. I had one leader, and they were, really kind of stretching to make a million this year. And, he said he was kind of getting sick of how things were going. He says, you know what? I want us to achieve 2 million this year. I said, man, you're scratching to get to 1 million. All right. So let's be realistic. All right. Make sure that it's something within the organization's capability to get to. All right. And is it timely? You've got to put a timestamp on this thing. When do you want to be there? Because if you kind of leave it open-ended, you don't know when you're ever going to be there. Then it's just kind of an idea that kind of keeps just getting pushed around. You want to know the time specifically when you're going to get there. So when you go through your goal setting and you start listing them out, ask yourself, is it a SMART goal? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it realistic? And is it timely? Narrow your list down 4, 5 items. You're really kind of pushing it, all right? Because though it is maybe 4 items, there may be a lot of tactical moves that go into getting this done. Now, critical step. Once you pick the goal, you have to assign accountability. You've got to assign who's going to be accountable for that specific goal. Remember, we talked about our organizational chart, and we talked about the different seats within the organization, and I talked about be very specific as to what that particular position is going to be accountable for. Same thing here. One person has to be accountable per goal. All right. Again, you can't have 2 people accountable for one goal. One person accountable for each goal, and then you kind of list it out. All right. So a funny thing about accountability, all right, though you are accountable for a goal, you are accountable that it gets done. That doesn't mean you do it all by yourself. Okay. If you utilize all the resources that are available to you at your company, or maybe a little bit outside the organization, but if you have to pull in other individuals to help you, that's fine. If there's somebody who has a specific knowledge or understanding in certain areas, have them help you with this goal. You're going to be in charge of making sure that they're getting that information back to you. You're the one who is in charge. If you're going to have a meeting to kind of, as you're working towards these goals, if you want to meet with a small team you're putting together, that's on you to make sure that you're getting people together. And it doesn't mean you delegate everything in the goal to them. You've got to be doing some of the tactical yourself. It just means you're accountable for getting it done. Okay? So once these goals come down, take it down. Okay? Once you've accomplished it, mark it off, and do not assign a new goal. All right? You've got to get your team focused. You've got to get them used to accomplishing a goal and celebrating it. All right? You've heard that terminology. You've heard the phrase, I should say, the carrot in front of the horse, or in front of the mule, just kind of keep moving. It seems like you never get it. Here, you've got to build confidence with your team or with yourself. Once you've accomplished a goal, take it down, celebrate it. Okay? Now, to make sure that we are staying on track with hitting our goals, you have to have specific accountability meetings. All right. If you wait, all right, from the start of the 90 days and you don't check in until the end of the 90 days, you'll have missed it. People need accountability. All right. So you meet on a weekly basis with your team. Yes, you meet weekly to make sure people are staying on track, to make sure that they've got the resources needed, to make sure you know what the heck is going on. If they need help, we dive in and we help as a team, all right? But when you meet with your team on a weekly basis to make sure they're all on track, make sure that the team is helping one another. You're being open and honest. Are we on track to accomplishing this goal, or are we off track? Okay, so we meet weekly because we got 30, 60, and 90, it's over. All right, now the reason we have to build it out this way, okay, is that this line right here is called focus. All right, we have to have focus. If you don't apply focus for your organization to where you want to be, heaven forbid, the people in the organization are going to start finding their own focus, and you don't know where some of these individuals are going to be heading. Okay? Applying focus and continually talking about where you want to be at the end of this 90 days, talking about the goals, this now gives your team an opportunity to focus on ideas for you, so they can now come to you and say, hey, look, I was thinking about where we want to be. I was thinking about some of the things that we're doing to be where we have to be. Here's what I was wondering. Here's what I was thinking. What do you think? You ask them, explain to me how this gets us there. This turns an organization in from one who never listens to ideas because there's no focus behind it, to an organization that is open to employees giving input to where you need to be. Okay? So focus, current state, desired state, specific goal setting. As the goals are accomplished, you don't throw more goals on, you keep them off. Mike, what do I do if I do have 10 items? I think they're important, but we got it focused, we got it narrowed down to 4 items. What do we do with these other great ideas? Take out a piece of paper. Again, great sale at Dunder Mifflin. All right, take out a piece of paper, write them all down. Those that do not make your top 4 or 5 list, you prepare to use those next year. Put them in a spot where you can go back to them and say, hey, look, these are some of the goals that we had for the last 90 days of last year. Are these some specific items we can include in this year's strategy? Well, leaders, there you have it. Hey, I'd like to hear from you. You tell me, what are maybe 3 or 4 specific items you guys would like to get accomplished this year, before the end of the year? I'm Mike Temple, Leadership and Strategy Advisor with Temple Executive Coaching. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching.